Welcome to Monday Night Plastic Crack Podcast. And it's a takeover. We've taken over Ken's channel.
Yeah.
Silly boy. Silly boy. Lester's in charge. It is season 4, episode 10. How is it already 10? How the hell did that happen?
No idea.
It's only January, right? I don't know. Anyway, must be January. I'm sure it is. Can't be anything else. So Monday night. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thanks for watching on the catch up. Thanks to Ken for not turning up. No, Ken should be along in a bit. He had another big work crisis. He didn't fall down any holes, as far as I'm aware, but he had a big work crisis, so he's been held up a bit. So hopefully he'll join us as the stream goes on. Otherwise, we'll just say all kinds of rude things and get him taken off YouTube, which would be fantastic. So, yeah. So, gentlemen, how are we doing? How is your... I know, Martin, you're amazing. I might have to talk to you first because you'll fall asleep.
I'm going to be like...
halfway through. It's like, because he's been away for it. Where you've been... Tell everyone what you've been up to.
I was on a stag do in Gothenburg, Sweden, for... about 36 hours, of which I slept for approximately 5 of them and was drinking, I think, for 37 of those 36 hours because there's a time in Stansted count where I had to neck a beer because we were going to miss our plane. Basically, no, we went over there and there he is.
Hey!
And relax.
There we go. Right, let's hand it over. Ken,
you Ken. Off you go. Oh no.
All right. Have we thanked the catch up and replay?
Yeah,
yes, all done.
Of course we have. We're pros.
And sponsor.
Shit, fuck. Wrong button.
You kicked him out.
Sorry. Everyone got me. No, we're just catching up with everybody.
All right. We done boards and swords.
No, shut up. We'll get there.
We were just hearing about Martin's exciting weekend. Well, you just cool your chops, relax.
Sweden.
Yeah,
in Sweden, weren't you?
Yeah, and funnily enough, we didn't do that while we were there. We did get kicked out of 2 bars, but we didn't do that. And it was for nothing that I did. It was just for my friend. But we no, it was awesome. Although I did when I was very, very drunk start talking to who I found out was a policeman as well, a Swedish policeman, about the Swedish Empire, because there was a statue. There's a statue of Gustavus Adolphus right outside our hotel. So that's how
idea.
That's
Drunken,
how I gathered.
Yeah, nutty Englishman talking to a...
I wanted to know it. I wanted to know. Yeah,
ask. It's got to be done. Years ago, I brought up. I was in Reflex, the 80s bar or 80s club.
Yes.
I ended up talking to a Finnish woman in there, and I brought up the continuation war.
What the fuck?
It was.
To be fair, she might have thought you were Finnish, Steve, because you are rather tall, sir.
Yes, well,
I just say that. See, the thing is, so yes, I had a lovely stay in Gothenburg. Here's the thing: you had a lot of snow there, a lot of snow. It is not cold in England, guys. It's not cold here. I don't know where anyone's in. It's not. It's cold there. When you put a glass of water out, and 30 seconds later, it's frozen, or someone froze up and it's frozen 30 seconds later. So Gothenburg was really nice, but it just looked the same. Everything was the same, which did mean that if it wasn't for that statue, I'd have found it really hard to navigate back to the hotel.
Nothing to do with the huge amounts.
Because when I tried to catch. That was it. I tried to catch a tram with one of them. So there was 27 of us, right? And I think it just saw us and just went past. Because I was dressed because the Friday night was the theme was like glam metal, hair metal. So a lot of us were just kind of wearing what we wear anyway. And apart from, shall we say, the special ones who all decided to come as Axl Rose. And they made us late. So they were really like Axl Rose, actually. So we had 4 Axls with us. So that became the band 4 Axls. God.
4 Axls.
And there were so many places that just sort of like, so I think they saw us. And once we'd walked past, they breathed to collect a sigh of relief. However, they did have a lot of really nice beer. Really, really nice beer and food, because we went to a restaurant on the Saturday night called Brisket and Friends. So there you go. That's good. And we had a plate of just steak and burnt ends and pulled pork. It was just a mountain of it. And let's just say that there's 27 lads that have all had that to eat and a very small Ryanair flight. So, but I was just telling Dom, and I'll leave you. We kept on. I got the early flight back, and some of them were still there, but their flights got cancelled due to high winds. But because they didn't want to not fly, they've now gone to Helsinki. Rather than that's the other way. That's
just the opposite direction entirely. It's like, why would you? I mean, it's a lovely place. Don't get me wrong, but it's full of mad Finns. Wow, it's completely the wrong direction.
There are a lot of stories, and I can't tell.
And most of them we can't. Oh, actually, we're on Ken's channel, and he was late, so you can.
We don't that you know. I have to leave that up to my friend because I don't know.
What happens in stag stays on stag.
So did you get any hobbying done?
Did I get any hobbying done? I talked to some man about the Swedish Empire, which is what I want to do for my Mission Pike project. I didn't get a great deal of hobbying done. I watched quite a lot of videos on the plane, but I did last week. I got a game against Robin of Saga. To continue our ongoing saga. So we had a fun game set around. The actual scenario is called Desecration. But Robin, we brought along his awesome watchtower to include. So we're doing that. But and there you probably see here are my brave men defending against his horrific javelin throwing levy. That turned my warlord into a pin cushion last game. So I'm hoping, depending, I might be able to get that one out this week, and you can see how I can't even remember what I called it, but the son of my previous warlord is back for vengeance. You can see how terribly it goes. So yeah, that was pretty much all the hobbying I got to do, other than doing a lot of reading and and I did get the pike and shot game up. The one against Miller, which with some of the worst dice rolling the world has ever seen.
I know how you hate points battles, but that was the biggest advert for having points games I've ever seen in my life. That was so one-sided.
It was one-sided, but it was equal in terms of there was nothing on it because he just chose not to take the iron side. He chose, I'm not going to take heavy cavalry. Whereas the game before, I got annihilated. So it was.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made. Well, yes, but you have to watch it to see. But it is quite funny. Although I did have someone in the comments going, basically having to go at me for the dice. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I don't really understand what you want me to do. And I think he was basically suggesting that if it's that one-sided, I should start fudging the rolls. Like keep rolling until there's a really cool outcome that we want. It's like, that'll take so long. It was already 5 hours long. Like trying to edit it down. But yeah, that was my week in wargaming and away. So fantastic. There we go.
Sounds great. Sounds like good fun. So have we been through just yourself, Martin, is it?
Yep.
On yourself, yeah. Okay, so what about yourself, Dom? What have you been up to?
Blimey. Let me find my stuff. More of the Bruce's. The Bruce's in Ireland. I think some of these people will have seen on if they watch the video I put up, but it's I'll just go through them quickly. So some Anglo-Irish heavy cavalry. I think these are first corps metals. So I did a regiment of those to support the English. And some more kerns because I just need loads of kerns. So another unit of them. I think that makes 5. Probably got another 3 to go, I think. But they only take a couple of hours to paint. It's just so easy to do. And then I got on with some command groups because they were fun to do. So that's I forgot his name again, but it's the Lord of Ulster, who was on the Scottish side in the campaign primarily. So I did him. And then I had to balance it up with an Anglo-Irish lord. So that's him, which I love that gripping beast figure. He's just so brooding, looking over the top of his shield.
I love that shield.
They're great. Oh, they're just fantastic. The way just poking his head over the top. And it's like, come on, if you think you're hard enough. And then I did Edward Bruce himself as the command standard. As command base, which I quite enjoyed doing as well. had a bit of fun with that one. It's difficult to know what the livery is supposed to be like in this period because it isn't quite as formal as it is later on. So it's been a bit mixed bag reading about it, but there we go. And then another one which I finished today, actually. This is First Earl Mortimer, who was the was the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, who eventually managed to kill Edward. Spoiler alert, Edward was killed. And then in honor of you, Ken, because I wanted to do some fantasy stuff because I knew you were going to talk about fantasy today, I went into my stash of opportunity and pulled out these and painted these.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So I just thought something a bit different. There we go. So I painted those three up.
Where'd they come from?
GW.
Well, they're from Games Workshop, mate.
They're Lord of the Rings. They're Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's Shagrat and Ugluk and another Uruk.
That's it. That's them. So they're currently on eBay because I'm not going to use them. So there you go. So that's what I've been up to. So there you go.
Man. That's awesome. What about yourself, Steve?
Nothing.
Oh, fair enough.
No, over the past 2 weeks, I overstretched myself painting. I was banging that O grip stuff out left, right, and centre. So last week I decided to have a few nights off. So I spent most of last week playing retro video games.
I saw that. You were playing
Jetpack, Total Carnage, and Smash TV. And I felt like I'd taken some really trippy hallucinogenics because
you usually do in the form of a beer.
Yeah, they couldn't release games like that these days. There was just the end of Total Carnage. I have no words for it. At one point, imagine a certain dictator from World War II. Now imagine his giant head.
Can we narrow it down a bit?
You say there's a few around, but
dodgy haircut, iffy moustache.
Again, that's still two left.
so imagine very angry. So imagine his giant head mounted on a tank.
It's not saying anything, is it, the tank?
Yeah, and then once you've taken him out, he's replaced by a big giant red skull. It was just absolutely bonkers. So that was my week. Then I was meant to be going to. Don, you've warned me every week that I post a weird beer on Facebook. I think you've definitely given me a fair share of warnings. Now, unfortunately, our bolt action tournament was cancelled because of the weather. So I think a few people were snowed in, and so the TOs made the correct decision just to say no, we'll cancel it and reschedule in the coming months. So I was a bit disheartened, but I did get a game of bolt action in on Saturday, which was rather nice.
Oh, nice.
Good to be throwing some dice around. I did record it, but I don't think I will make a video out of it because the footage, my flat is not good for natural light. So it looked like we were fighting actually in the dark, even though we weren't.
Wait, you should have played 0200.
Oh yes,
and you wouldn't get the comments that I get.
It would have been perfect. But no, it was really, really good. Just to be throwing some dice around. I used another late war German list with inexperienced troops, and I won't be doing that ever again because it's
were they all green, Steve? Were they?
One was green and one unit was shirkers.
And
I think green are great. I love green troops.
Well, yeah, because you always roll well on them, Dom.
I know.
Yeah, in this game, the green became regular when they first got shot.
Oh yeah.
So it didn't help the fact that they were then annihilated 2 turns later. Apart from that, they did quite well. I'm going to review the footage, see if I can tidy it up a bit, and I might put it on the channel. But I did a bit of painting. Nothing really finished, but I am that close to finishing my German O group battalion.
Oh, nice.
So I'm finished tonight. I'll be finishing or basing the last 2 platoons. I've got one platoon and a sort of base of mortars to go. And that's it for my Germans. And I'll be doing a video about that this week. But you know what I'm really interested in at the moment is playing bolt action and bolt action tank wars in 15mm. Using the old group figures that I've got. So I think that's going to be something that I'll be looking into over the next couple of months, because that could be quite fun. Yeah, but no, this week I'm going to be back to my sort of high level of painting that I've been doing over the past couple of weeks. I think last week was just a week off to recharge and play weird video games.
Play weird video games, not weird shit. Weird video games this week. That's cool, man. That's really good. So for myself this week, I did some painting. I started on my batch stuff. So this is how I've got along so far. So I managed to go through and yeah, I did all.
Hell, Ken.
Yeah, I went a bit OTT. So I managed to get all the goblins, the actual coats done. Which, let's just say, there was 140 of them, and it was a little bit painful.
Are you channeling the inner Benjamin here? Or something?
Yeah, I know, it's a bit insane, isn't it? So my plan is each week is to get the next step done. So there's only about 6-7 steps. So they should be done within the next month or two, which I'm hoping. But here's now a completely finished one, based and all. So there you go.
Goblin green base. There we go.
Yeah, Goblin green base. Yeah.
God, it's like 1992 all over again.
I know, it's great, isn't it? So yeah, that's a finished, complete guy. So he's based up. So he's my first one that I've done. Obviously, you won't see the green bases when they're in the movement trace, which I've had.
I know they're classic goblins, but it reminds me of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
thing.
Yeah.
Exactly
the same thing, Dom.
Precious.
I tried to work out where the design came from, the idea. Now I've worked it out because I saw him the other day. Total Warhammer. So a lot of the figures are inspired from that. So yeah, I'm really happy with them so far. But that's what I've been up to in that regard. So I managed to get quite a lot of them sort of done per se. So yeah, looking forward to that.
When you were doing that batch painting like that, were you listening to music, listening to podcasts, you've actually had something on in the background to be able to do that many?
I did for some of it. Some of it I didn't. Some of it I just sat here in silence. But I tend to put YouTube on and listen to subjects. Like you know what I'm like. I listen to train stuff, and I'll turn my head occasionally, have a look at the screen, or I listen to not podcasts per se. I didn't listen to any podcasts. It was more videos, just catching up on videos.
If I'm doing a lot of batch painting, there's always one album I put on because it's on for almost 4 hours, and there's only 9 songs on it.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Top me. Oh dear. Look, this is older. Here we go. We're getting stuff. I played Night Goblins in the 90s. Yeah. It's a flashback. It's a flashback. Well, that's what my whole point is. I want to play 6th edition until the old world comes out. I've got a game booked in with Stuart from Miniature Realms. So yeah, they got to be painted. I can't not have them painted.
No.
Oh, yeah, there's a comment there from Paul. I saw a video the other day, but I didn't watch it. I just saw the title. He's heard somewhere the bases for the old world are going to be larger than the original bases.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll just use my bases. I'll just put more troops on to make up the frontage. Don't bother me. Yeah. No, I know 25s they're going to be, but I'm not going to do them in 20s. I'm sure someone will bring out a 3D print or something like that to convert it across.
Well, more than likely.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't bother me. But I wanted them in 20s because Night Goblins I think actually look pretty decent in 20s. Probably one of the only ones that look half decent in 20mm bases. So, but yeah, my giant. I'm keeping my giant till last. I'm looking forward to doing that. Really am looking forward to doing that. But I'm going to keep him until last. But yeah, I think it's not going to take me that long. To be fair, like I said, there's only about 6-7 steps, so it's not a massive.
That's all right.
Not a massive job. Go on.
was going to say, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Don't worry about Kara.
The alcohol just kicked in from Saturday night, obviously.
Kicked in. Or
kicked out, maybe. You keep rocking backwards and forward, Ken. Your microphone goes weird every time you do.
Oh, it's because I keep turning my head.
Yeah, don't keep your head straight, mate.
That was it. No, that was it. I remember. So, as Ken already pointed out, we are sponsored by Boards and Swords, and I've had a chat with Ian, who's runs that, and of course, if you guys go over to Boards and Swords and you add the code PCP5 when you check out, you'll get the additional 5% discount on top of the already discounted stuff that is there, which in some cases will be 20%, like the Push of Pike starter that is still on there for pre-order, and some of the other stuff is going to be up soon as well. So
Martin, just asking for a friend, but does he do the other bits of Push of Pike? You know, some of those other box sets that.
I believe he does. So
okay. I'll let my friend know.
But let your friend know, and if your friend could tell my wife, that would be ace, because it's someone's birthday soon. So go over there, have a look. There's new stuff that's going to be added. Remember, if you've got any questions or anything, you can email him Ian at Boards and Swords, and you can also get him on Facebook Messenger. So if there's anything you want, but if you're on the fence about that Push a Pike thing, I think you should go over there and give it a go, because you're going to get 20% off what you wear anywhere else that you'll get it. And I think James said in the comments when he worked out, if you buy the separate parts that make the deals up that Warlord are doing, it does actually still work out cheaper to do the component parts from Ian. It's just the one thing you won't. I think there's just one thing you won't get, which is exclusive to them, but you probably don't need it. So go over there and check it out. Last time I spoke to him, he's had 19 sets pre-ordered already. Let's go over there and have a look. But also, any of your other wargaming needs, head over to Boards and Swords. If you can't see it on the website, give him a message. It's good to support. It's good to support Boards and Swords. They're very good to us, but it's also just good to support local game stores, because we don't use them, they will go, and we don't want that at all. Next week we will have the announcement of what our next giveaway is on the PCP, so make sure you tune in. That one will be on my stream, because we are going to be joined as well by Andy Hobday from Futsal Miniatures, who is going to be doing we're going to be chatting about Gangs of Rome, which goes live this week, the new Gangs of Rome Kickstarter, and we get to interrogate him next week about all the changes and everything else. And then with the week after that on Dom's channel, where we'll do the draw for the competition, we've got Paul Hicks, who's designed a whole load of the miniatures that are in the Gangs of Rome Kickstarter that's going up. So it's going to be interesting. So we have to see if Andy's going to sort of pass on any shade onto Paul.
Generally, those two do, don't they? They're very good. And also, just while we're thinking about Boards and Swords, we talked about CrackCon 4, October the 21st. We've had loads of comments about games and what have you. Keep them coming, but we're not really going to start thinking seriously about that for a little while yet. And then we'll start putting together a sort of list of possible games. Yeah. So
that's it. Just remember,
it's a bit early yet.
Some people, it's all right to have multiple games in the same era or the same system. You know, it doesn't just, if someone's already putting a bolt action game or a Napoleonic game and you want to have another one, that's absolutely fine. The second time around, I think we had 4 or 5 Napoleonic games in one go. So that doesn't matter at all. What we can't do though is book out, because sometimes on the day people drop out or people are ill for some reason, and therefore more tables are available. So we can't promise more to begin with than a 6x4 per game, which will come down for booking. But if once we know someone wants to put on a really big game, we can go, right, okay, so we've got 4 tables available for that, and so we have to move things around quite a bit because we want there to be quite as much variety as possible. And I dare say Ian will be getting out the fleets again. So, so there'll be some kind of massive windy boat game, which maybe I will play. Maybe. I get to play games this time. That's part of the thing.
That's what we're doing.
Me and Dom get to go and have fun.
We're going to play games. Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. So, but keep them coming in, but don't commit too hard to any games just yet, because we can't, because until we get a sense of who wants to do what, it's impossible. And as Martin says...
Oh, can we make an exception for Alex? He's always got a great recommendation. He's doing 54 mil 40k.
Oh, right, yeah. Put him on.
Isn't that just 40k now? Because everything's getting big in like
scale creep. Yeah,
everything's getting big.
Okay, put Alex down for that one. That's
absolutely
done. That's
on a 4x4 table.
Where movement is measured in paces.
Yeah, legit. Yeah. Right. So tonight's topic, gentlemen. Tonight's topic is fantasy games, different ones. So I'm going to talk about, obviously, the elephant in the room, which is Warhammer. But there isn't just Warhammer, is there? There is many, many other fantasy systems. Saga, for example. Getting a bit of historical in there. You've got Saga Age of Magic, which, Dom, you have played, am I correct?
I have indeed, yes. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I was actually thinking before we started the stream, I thought, are you going to be on your own, mates? Because I've done absolutely diddly squat fantasy, but you're actually right. I have done that. So
yes, you have. Yeah, I was going to say. So what pulled you to Saga Age of Magic then, Dom? What made you think, oh, we'll have a bit of go at that? Because, like you say, you're not really a fantasy player.
Well, actually, as the Yoda Leslie said at the beginning of this stream, all wargaming is fantasy of one type or another, and it's true because we don't really go around throwing lumps of bits of people at people.
Yeah, I'd argue as well that Saga isn't even really historical.
I think Saga generally.
Saga. It's not. It's not because you have abilities in it where your Vikings essentially explode. So you have Valhalla. Using the whole point of Saga was, even though I think it's changed slightly in the way it's advertised, was that it was meant to be like Beowulf. It was meant to be like the sagas, Jason and these deeds that you're sitting around a fire and you're telling the stories, which is why your warlord in it is born again hard and can just wipe out loads of stuff, unless he's mine, of course. And then he just gets impaled. But so I think the thing with Saga, sorry, I've kind of interrupted, but Saga was already geared towards being able to transfer to a fantasy system with more magic in it quite easily, because they'd essentially it was halfway between a serious historical war game and a load of old tribe.
Yeah,
like he said, exactly that.
Yeah, he kind of took over, didn't he, from you?
He did really. No, I think he's absolutely right. I mean, Saga is not a historical system, I thought that I had this discussion with Graham down the club because he doesn't like Age of Magic, but he loves Saga, and I said, I don't really understand the difference because they're all fantasy, really. It's just this one you got magic, But I think it's kind of a nice halfway house almost for somebody like me that doesn't really play fantasy stuff.
It's a bit of a gateway.
Fantasy. It's a gateway drug, yeah. Perfect.
It doesn't make a lot of differences to the system. There's very little that you change. The unit structures are a little bit different because, for example, a troll is like worth 2 half guard. You had to add rules in for. They break it down to like quadruped fantasy creatures, biped fantasy creatures, add wings, add fire breath. So your flying dwarf gyrocopter thing will be exactly the same as my flying gargoyle thing in terms of what they can do. It just looks different. I think. It's just fun. It's all it's just fantasy. It is. It's just low. I'd say Saga itself is low fantasy. But before, I don't want to say we were doing it before then. But my mate, we wanted to play a bigger Saga game, and he couldn't. He didn't have enough models, so he got the giant from A Song of Ice and Fire and put him on, and we just said that's 4 half guard, and that is essentially how the monsters work in Age of Magic.
It is very much so.
He's just like, this monster equals 4 of them. And you pay the points that way, which makes it a really, really nice, easy system to use.
Yeah. Apart from that, though, Dom, is there any sort of fantasy systems that tickle your fancy?
Well, I mean, I did like Oathmark, but somebody let me down on that one.
Well, funny enough, now I've got all these. We'll be able to play it.
No, you've had your moment. That's it. You're done. No, no. Do you know what? I genuinely, I don't really understand why I've not done much fantasy, and I have the odd game or two through my gaming career, shall we say, or gaming obsession. We used to do something years ago when I was at Heston. They used to do a sort of annual game where it was sort of homegrown rules for fantasy, which was quite fun. But no, I just never really got into it. So I fancied doing. I love I mean, Lord of the Rings and the Tolkien books were the things that got me into reading, really. So I loved all that, but for some reason I just never really got into the gaming of the period.
I saw a very cool post today from North Star, and I don't know if it was Nick Erie. I missed this bit of itself, but essentially, who's been doing their First Age Beleriand project, and they're using the Oathmark goblins and that, and to make to do a mass battle for Middle Earth rather than using the GW system. And there is a group on Facebook as well, and people I've joined it. So they've done, instead of Hail Caesar, it's called Hail Sauron. So there's people doing that, which I thought was quite cool.
That's great. That's really good.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. No, that is
Dom,
cool.
Can I ask you a question about fantasy gaming from your perspective?
I
know we mentioned it sometimes. Remember when you were painting those elves?
Well,
and you
I painted 2. I think that was it.
do you think that sort of is indicative of your approach to fantasy?
What, I give up after 2 figures?
No,
yeah,
I mean,
probably.
From a sort of a painting, modelling hobby perspective.
Well, I think the problem, Steve, for me is I always have to have a goal in mind of a game or something I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So whether it's playing solo or playing a game, whatever it is, I need to have that goal in mind. And I think the problem is I know that I'll paint up fantasy figures, but nobody down the club really plays fantasy. Ken let me down with Oathmark. So it was like, well, what else am I going to do? So, I think that's what it is, really. I do watch videos. I watch the Lord of the Rings strategy game. And I did sort of tinker with the idea as a complete novice, but a historical player, to go and have a go, go enter a tournament and to see how I did. Just because, but actually the gameplay looks really dull. But there you go. If I'm honest,
it's one of the best rule sets possible. That is.
I think that I love the bit about the fates and all that kind of stuff. Or is it fates? Whatever it is.
Yeah, fate, might, dice. Yeah,
all that. I think that's really cool. But it's that business about sort of they all seem to play as they do competitively, and they're blocking people in and sort of making a line of troops just to stop getting to somebody. I think that all seemed a bit weird. But anyway. So now I think it is just that, Steve, that I just never had that goal in mind of a game that was coming that I was going to play.
And what about sort of, because I know you immerse yourself in history and the characters and so I think with fantasy is that could be missing, because I mean I know games have lore, but it's
yes and no. I mean, I think I love the idea of creating a sort of empire or a world where you could, you set a fantasy realm in. I'd have absolutely no problem. And actually, without again going on about Oathmark, but that was what I was trying to do with that, was build a sort of a nation that had different sort of because with an Oathmark you could have different troop types depending on the scenery, the terrain you put in your empire. And so I tried to build it as a sort of a storyline. So I can't even remember what my country was supposed to be, but
you're orcs, weren't you?
Yeah, predominantly orcs, but it had influences from other things.
You had humans, didn't you?
Yeah,
you had humans.
And so, so I tried to build a bit of a story around that, and that was all it was. But yeah, so I don't think that necessarily bothers me particularly. Although the elf thing is just a weird thing. I think it's just.
I reckon that put you off. I reckon subconsciously those elves put you off a little bit. I think probably what really did that, when I bought into those figures, it was Kickstarter. They arrived like a year and a half after I'd
paid for them. And when I was playing lots of Saga Age of Magic, and everyone stopped playing Saga Age of Magic, and that's what I bought the figures for. So again, I wasn't playing any Age of Magic. So then kind of the immediacy of painting them went away. And then when I did start, I thought, I better paint some of those, and looked at them. I thought, oh my goodness, they're so nice. I don't really know what to do with them. But, if I'd had a game the following, a couple of weeks later, I probably would have cracked on and done enough to do an 8-point Saga army with them. So anyway, but I think that's what it is. It's the game drives me always.
Yeah. So Paul's Painter's got a good comment here. He's put, I've never heard of 7TV Fantasy. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Kings of War. Cool. Go on, Mike.
But they just they got a good system, isn't it? It's like it's a TV show, so they've got loads of sets out, like it's Blake 7, and so we looked at it when we went to Warfare. We spent ages looking at the sets. They had loads of different sets. Like, they had Dracula's Castle set. They had like Space 1999, Blake 7. We were looking at all of it because they were trying to con us into buy it. Well, not con us, because they were trying to get us to buy it. We were looking at it at Warfare. Not the Warfare just gone, the one before at Ascot. The one at Ascot. It was right next to the TT Combat stand when we were buying that. There are loads of sets because basically you can play anything with these rules because it's played like it's a TV show.
Right. Okay.
I actually really like the sound of that.
I was going to say that might be up your street, Steve.
Yeah, there's I think the way the scenarios are written. No, I haven't sort of played it, but I think you have like the director, the action, the scene, and I think that works that way. But it's worth checking out. They're quite big, actually. They have quite a lot of content out there now.
Yeah, that's cool. It does sound like a bit up Steve's alley, to be fair, doesn't it?
Well, no, because what sprang to mind for that? I don't know how many people know of this program. It was sort of the late 90s, early 2000s science fiction program called Lex.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first thing that sprung to mind when you mentioned the sort of Blake 7.
Let me see if I can.
I thought that'd be quite a good. I mean, I don't know how well it'd work. I think for an RPG, it'd work well, or a skirmish game, I think it'd work well.
As Robin's pointed out, it's a really good way for them to avoid IP issues.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make a set for any film and just go, oh no, we're just playing the vampire one.
That is a pretty clever way, to be honest with you. But you've got other things. You've got like Kings of War Vanguard, Mordheim, Fud and Blunder, Drag Rampant. They're all great games. Yeah, very much so. Kings of War is meant to be another really great. Well, we went to Mantic, didn't we? Oh, well, I've been to Mantic up in Nottingham, and it was quite interesting seeing all their different armies they had on display. There's a lot. They do have a lot, and for a reasonable price as well. Not going to lie, some really cool stuff. We got here, Richard. Currently building and painting 2 forces for Conquest. Yes. Now me and you, Martin, had a soft spot for that, didn't we?
We did. No, I really like that game. I really like that game. I like the models. I like the system.
The way it played. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did tick quite a lot of boxes, and you keep getting me very tempted. I'm not going to lie, because it's
well, there's a skirmish version of it as well. Which
there is. Yeah, you can start with that, can't you, and then build up. Exactly.
I'm just on the 7TV website trying to find a picture to show Sneaks. Keep going. No, Conquest is ace. So Conquest is brilliant.
Yeah, no, it is. The rules are really good if you roll low as well.
That's why Martin liked it so much.
Yeah, that's why I liked it so much. The lower you roll, the better in that game. That's
after our last game, you should ask Miller to.
Yeah, that's very true. He should have it.
Well, just to say something about that. Sorry, I rolled 8 attacks. Yeah, I needed freeze to hit. I got 1 hit. Right?
Yeah.
He rolled 6 attacks, needing like 4s, and they all but one of them hit. But then when it came around to saves, I saved 7 hits or whatever, 6 hits or whatever it was, and he failed the 1 hit I got, so his unit lost to combat. He was raging. He was absolutely fuming.
I have to say, during my game of Bolt Action on Saturday, I did debate using my PCP dice.
Mm-hmm.
but then I had like flashbacks to CrackCon and and refused to use them. I just use plain normal dice instead.
PCB dice are all right. I quite like my dice.
Mine do.
Red ones. My red ones are good. Oh yeah, he's put Paul's also put Warlords of Erewhon as well.
Oh yes.
See, that I'd like to play. I would like to play that because I do like the bolt action system.
Again,
it's kind of like that, isn't it?
It is. It's very much bolt thrower action, if you could call it that. It's a lot of its mechanisms are found in bolt action. I've actually got two full armies for Warlords of Erewhon now.
Oh, that's decent, man. Steve, Dom, have you tried War of the Ring, Games Workshop rank and flank Lord of the Rings? Yeah, I've got the book up there, Steve. I've actually got that rulebook. Dom.
Is that the mass battle one?
It is, yeah, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking. I did see. Was it who did a video about that? Maybe it was Steve. I can't remember. Someone did a video about it. I thought, oh, that looks really interesting. So I did buy the rule book. But
you bought it, have you?
Yeah, I've got the rule book. But it's one of those maybe to be done at the future time. But I think it probably would work with the smaller scale figures, wouldn't it? Like 15 mils or 10 mils. Or
yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. That would definitely work. It would actually work really well, to be fair.
So here's the thing with that. So you play that sort of game. When does that just become another big historical game? Because, like you say, you can have the big monsters, but they're only like an elephant in a.
It's not, is it? It's more the theme behind it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all to do with the story, the backstory, the theme, what you enjoy as an individual.
Well, it'd be lovely to recreate some of those battles from Lord of the Rings, wouldn't it? With something like that.
Oh, wicked! Massive
battle with thousands of troops.
Thousands of them. I gather you guys saw that video I linked into you the other day on Messenger with the Zulus. Did you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Made my day that day when that popped up.
I found a picture. So 7TV has got like a universal rulebook, right? And then you buy like whether you want like the apocalypse one, or the post-apocalypse one, the sci-fi one, but this is the fantasy one. So that's what you get when you buy the fantasy box. You get all these cards and books and tokens. It's like a toolkit essentially, for creating what you want, and it's got a really nice old school. Aesthetic. Very, very first edition D&D, the old red box. So that's what you get. So you buy that box of gubbins, and then it's got scenarios, and you create your character, or whatever it is you want. But they've got plenty of models themselves. But I think it is mini agnostic, so you can use whatever you want. But does that elf look like anybody? And then just see some Chaos Knights. There you go.
Whoa!
Right. And then this one here, Beast from Below. So you create like coins, and then this one here for you, Steve. I know now you're going to go in it. Do you want to see the Colossal Slug?
Oh my god!
Steve needs that in his life to turn it.
I do need that in my life. Yeah. That is fantastic.
So yeah, you essentially it's got a lot of good writing, but I think this one gives you a lot of freedom. So if you want something that's kind of written and pre-generated, it might not be the thing for you. Does that make sense? Like if you
it's more of a sandbox.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. I'd like to say for me, when it comes to fantasy at the moment, it's all about the classic 2000 Warhammer for me. Going back to 6th edition Warhammer in the year 2000. That's insane, isn't it? I just love the idea of Goblin green bases. Just a bit of nostalgia flowing through the veins, looking back at it, because I'd have been about 10 or I'd have been coming like 10, 11 when 6th edition was out. So looking at all the White Dwarf magazines, seeing all the armies on parade and the heavy metal stuff, seeing Fanatic Night Goblins for the first time, which look insane. I'm not
gonna lie. So Ken, I'm genuinely intrigued by this sort of retro perspective. And I get the same with people who love their minifigs and their Hinchcliffs and their S6 figures and everything else. Are you saying that if there was, there are loads of ranges of really brilliant fantasy goblins, you'd choose those retro ones over?
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
So to me, every time I take the new stuff, every time.
No, they've got a new range of night goblins. There's a brand new range. They redid them like a year ago. And don't get me wrong, they look awesome, but it's not the style and the art that I like. Like I like the John Blanche's era.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that style.
Are you the same with historicals like that? I mean, I suppose they haven't got the same history with it, but
no, I'm not. No.
Interesting.
I prefer the newer models when it comes to historicals.
Interesting.
But when it comes to fan, I just think they're just like classic. People say they don't serve. Well, to me, they don't not look right, if that makes sense. They just remind me of my childhood. So it's like I didn't get to do it really when I was young because I was just out of that age bracket. Really, I was about 4 or 5 years too young.
Ken, that's like me and the old Beaky Marines, Space Marines.
Yeah, man.
The RTB01 box. I got my first box of that in 1990. 91. So it'd have been 32 years ago. And I painted them horribly, but they are so nostalgic for me. That's just a point in my sort of hobby journey that was sort of the beginning for me, and they will always hold us.
Yeah.
I mean,
would you game with them though, Steve?
Yes, I would.
You would. Okay, interesting.
I would certainly, but I would only use them for. I'd only use Rogue Trader rules for them. I couldn't use them in sort of second ed. I mean, at a push maybe, but I think those rules would complement the Beaky Marines because they were just so strange. They were just so odd looking. But again, it's a nostalgia thing.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'm nostalgic about figures, and I've got old figures that I've had for years, and I probably wouldn't throw them away, but I probably wouldn't put them on the table either.
Yeah, No, for me, it's getting that really nice paint job on figures that I would never have been able to paint to that nice standard back at that age. Just having a nice army looking like that, and
stop moving, mate. You're coming in and out. You're driving Benjamin mad.
Sorry, Benjamin. Bloody thing.
God, that was a bit. I was a bit ASMR there, Ken.
Was it? Sorry. It's probably better if the mic's like that. Let me try that. Is that better?
Well, that's when you woggle around.
Yeah.
I need to have it attached to my head.
You do.
I'll try and move my palette around here without actually moving my head. Let me just see if I can reach it somewhere. Now I've just stuck my fingers in Goblin green paint. Lovely. But yeah, it's definitely the nostalgia. It's weird though because it's the nostalgia, but it's not nostalgia because I never had it in the first place. So I don't know what you would call that. Jealousy?
It's a bit of that, isn't there? But in a nice, I understand that.
Yeah.
No, because on Saturday I had a conversation with my mate about the popularity of 40k second ed and how that these days that's really popular again because people are remembering what quite a cool rule set it was. It was quite basic in comparison to sort of the latter iterations of 40k. But so many people got into 40k during second edition. I think, and it's those memories. That's that nostalgia for me. That I mean, I've definitely got plans to play second ed again. Once I've got 2 viable armies, I'll be playing that again because I absolutely loved that game. I think for a lot of people who their entry point into the hobby was fantasy, I think fantasy games will always hold. I mean, whether or not they've done with that side and that they're now dyed in the wool historical war gamers, I think there's always going to be that sort of attachment to it from a nostalgia perspective. And it's why I still like fantasy. I still like sci-fi gaming, but of the older variety, so sort of Rogue Trader, Second Ed, Blood Bowl,
Necromunda.
They all hold. Even Man of War. I love playing Man of War. Absolutely love that game. And again, it was just one that just didn't seem to go anywhere. It was hyped for a couple of years and then it just vanished. But I ran a dwarf fleet for Man of War and they were brilliant, fantastic game.
Yeah. What about the old world though, Dom? Is that sort of getting
the what? Sorry,
the old world. So the new release from Games Workshop that's coming up. You could use your orcs and stuff in that in it. Before,
but then it doesn't get me that excited, to be honest. I've been more excited about doing. You only have so much time in your life to game, sadly, and so unless it really, really grabbed my attention or everybody I knew was starting to play that a bit, it wouldn't do anything for me. I'm not that nostalgic about wanting to play. Back in the day, I'd pick up the odd White Dwarf, and I think I had a few of the Warhammer. I think I showed you once, and I had the Warhammer first edition.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I never played a game, but I bought it because I was just interested, and I buy rule books and I read them, and I'm interested in just looking at the pretty pictures.
You have a vast library, don't you?
I do. That one I don't anymore. I sold it, but yeah, it's so I don't know that I'd particularly bothered. There's a million other things I'd probably do in advance of it. So because I don't have that kind of nostalgia that you guys have around it.
By you, Martin.
What am I excited in the old world?
Interested in it? Interested in the old world?
No,
not at all.
Nope.
No, I'm the same. No interest in it.
I'm sure it's going to do very well. I don't think fantasy was that good, and I played a lot of it. There's stuff in it that was just broken. The old world as a setting, I like. I quite like the sort of 17th century kind of vibe to it. The Landsknechts. I like all the lore around the old world. So I like all the novels and that. So I quite like that because that was also the setting of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which I think did a better job of portraying it than the fantasy game. The mass battle game, and obviously it's a game of fantasy battles. That's absolutely fine. But I think it depends what they're doing for the system, because if it's just going to go back to what they're saying, 6th or 7th, aren't they? For it, 7th, is it?
No, they're taking rules out of all of them and combining.
That doesn't sound right. That sounds turd. Because there's stuff that just doesn't work. Those books are like that thick. Like people, sometimes people. Me and Robin talked about this. Sometimes there's a bit of view when people are like, almost look down on the Warhammer rules. They're not simple rules. They never were. Leafing through that rule book, trying to find like specific rule like terror and fear and all of that stuff. And when units break. No, I mean, I don't know. I was quite interested in it when it got announced, and then I thought about it a little bit more, and I think I just like to paint up an army, but I think I just end up using it. I think I just end up using like a current fantasy game, or just writing a list for Hail Caesar and doing that. Really, I don't. No idea of a mass battle fantasy game. I thought about it. I was chatting with Stuart about it actually for a while, and I think I want to paint an army, but I don't necessarily want to play it. Does that make? It just doesn't. It doesn't.
Like your
really boat. Not really, but I love the setting, and it's been like 40k. I like the setting. I just have no desire to play it.
You know what? Exactly.
Let's just face it. Game. Yeah.
Go on. No.
I was just going to say, Games Workshop wouldn't be doing it if everyone wasn't crying about Age of Sigmar, like getting rid of it. They wouldn't have done it. There was just such an outcry. They wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't. They got rid of it for commercial reasons because it didn't sell at all. It did not sell very well. So then they nuked it overnight and then released Age of Sigmar, which is essentially a big skirmish game. and then obviously there's still that setting that they hold the IP for, but they only hold the IP for it as long as they're creating content for it. So, because other companies have asked them if they could create stuff for it, because they sell the license for the role-playing game. The role-playing game's on its 4th edition, then Fantasy Flight were putting content out for it. That's sort of how I look at it. But I don't know. I just think for fantasy, there's games I'd rather play for fantasy than Warhammer.
That's fair enough, dude.
I think basically.
Yeah, no, that's cool. You like the idea. You like the aspect of the lore and stuff like that, but the actual physical game side of it.
The lore to it is essentially just a setting for a fantasy roleplay game, and I love fantasy roleplay games, but I never liked playing in anybody else's world. I always liked making my own, and then affecting that, and I do like the stories. I'd happily. I've got all like the Gore-Tex and Felix books. I love. I've got the Sigmar novels. I've even got one of the New Age of Sigmar novels to read because someone told me I should really give it a shot because it's actually really good. And it's the same with 40k. I like the novels, but I just have no interest in playing the game. I find. That's a big army to paint as well. I don't know if I can be bothered. So fantasy-wise, I play games like Bushido, which is fantasy, and I think probably, in my opinion, the best skirmish set of rules, fantasy set of rules that there is. I love it. The combat system is unique. It's a lot of fun. It's got a low model count, 2 foot by 2 foot board. There's loads of factions, and the company is supporting it with regular content and miniature releases. And let's pop this up. You've got your 2-player starter set.
Yeah,
there. That's it. That's all you need. I think that's about 50 quid, but that's also got all the rules and all the tokens, and they're all metal as well. I'd like to add as well when you actually get that. But then you've also got this very cool fantasy, this Eastern sort of Japanese inspired fantasy theme. So it's not like a lot of the other fantasy stuff that you see. I mean, obviously everyone gets fantasy mugs, but
that's
like
beautiful painting, isn't it? That's lovely.
They're amazing, aren't they?
They're really cool. And it's just got really, really neat. I love the combat mechanics in it. Everyone's got little stat cards like this. So like this guy here, who I've got, the armored Kyrite, you see his combat value, it's got 3, so top left, the swords.
Yeah.
So he, quite simply, when he activates, when he attacks, he gets 3 dice. You've both got 10 dice, 5 of 2 different colors, 5 of each. So when you attack and when you're in combat, if I was fighting you, Ken, you would say pick say your guy's got an attack of 3 as well. We both secretly decide how many dice we're putting into attack and how many dice we're putting into defend. Which is why you have the 2 different colored dice, and then you reveal them. So there's a bit of a bluff, and then you roll everything, and then you total out the successes against each other. So if I put 2 into attack and 1 into defend, but you put everything into attack, and then we resolve and go, well, let's say my attack, you didn't put any into defend, so my attack is going to go through with a certain success level. You put 3 into attack me, I put 1 into defend. I'd have had to have rolled really high so there's a nice little bluffing technique in there.
That's quite cool.
And you can do other things as well, like you see under his picture, there's a thing called the paired Tashi combo attack. It's got a 1 in brackets. All that means is if you want to add that attack, you just you take 1 dice out your pool. So you just take 1 dice out your pool, but you don't have to tell your opponent until after you revealed your dice. You go, right, I did. So say I had 3 dice, but I only show you 2. I could say I've removed 1 because I'm doing this attack. And then basically after you've got 1 successful attack, he does another 1 immediately. But it's a very nice thematic game. And I like that for fantasy because I think that I like about fantasy is characters and like RPGs. I like small model counts. Frostgrave is something I keep on meaning to play as well, but I never get around to it. Whatever to do with it.
Yeah, you got things like for yourself. Yeah, I can understand. No, that's cool. But for me, I quite like the idea of a larger scale for fantasy. It's just because I never got a chance to do it when I was younger. I'd probably be the opposite. I'd probably be the opposite. If I did get a chance to, I'd probably go more towards like yourself in regards to smaller model counts and making them individuals. And
it's only something I've really come to the realization of in the last few weeks, because I was very much in the idea of I'm going to print off a big Skaven arm. In fact, I have printed off loads of Skaven, like I think I just want to do it to paint them. I don't know if I want to play, because I did play so many games.
You paint them, I'll buy them from you.
It's we'll have a chat, but I just don't know in myself. I'll probably regret saying this because I'll probably turn around and do it now, but I don't know. I have really good memories of playing those games on Saturday afternoons with my mates, and a little bit like when I watch Nightmare again, which I had really good memories of. I don't want it to be shit.
Yeah.
So I don't see the point. I'm not going to bother getting excited about it until it comes out.
If it's half and it's half decent, you might give it a go. You might see some honest. If it's shit, you ain't going to waste your time with it, are you?
Pretty much. I'll wait for someone else to buy it and tell me what it's like.
I know we played a lot of Fantasy Battle, so it would have been. I think what edition it would have been.
What year, Steve?
We played it between sort of 97 and 2000.
That'd be 5th then.
And I was when I mentioned last week about I painted so many of those red and yellow Empire soldiers. I'm quite surprised I didn't go funny by the end of it. But we played massive games of Fantasy Battle, because I had Empire. My mate had Bretonnians. My mate Andy had Lizardmen, and Pete was running the Dogs of War. And we played big games of it, and I think that was probably the last sort of big game I actually played, because we'd stopped playing Second Ed 40k by then. But like Martin said, it's not a game I'd ever go back to. There's nothing there that would inspire me to start playing it again. Even if it was the same game or relatively the same game. I think the idea of sitting down and painting 12 or 14 units of to make up this army and monsters and characters, it just wouldn't. There's nothing there that really. Don would say, don't get the juices flowing, create creativity.
You wouldn't do it for a Napoleonic army. Why would you do it for a fantasy one right now? Yeah.
God, no. Absolutely not. No. I think, like I said, there is a danger when you go back and revisit these games. Like Martin said, with Nightmare, for me, it was the Thundercats. Mumra is not scary. But when I was a kid, it scared the shit out of me. But now he's not. He's just not scary at all. And so you're going back to some of these games. I mean, I'm confident the Second Ed 40k I'd still enjoy. But I don't think I'd enjoy Fantasy Battle again.
Anyone heard? I only found out about this game today, so it might be shit. I've heard of Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught that's just come out.
No.
So it come out at the start. It's called Onslaught. It's a big box set. Essentially, it's a skirmish game, D&D, pre-painted minis. But obviously you can paint over them, quite easily. It's made by WizKids, and essentially you have 2 different war bands. You have your characters in them. You build them up, and then you go on missions. But then it's inhabited by dragons and goblins, and so you might be running missions against each other, or you might be doing. And there's a board in the base set, and they're releasing scenario packs and things like the giant beholder with all the eyes turns up and all that kind of stuff. I saw that today, and it just seemed like serendipitous with this going in.
How much was it, dude?
It's 150 quid the box.
But how many models do you get painted?
You get quite a few, and you get like a dragon and a giant, and
it's not bad value really when you really think about it.
But it's it just looks interesting. But another one, and Dom, you've talked about it before, Moonstone.
Yes,
I've got that painted. I've got the whole game. I've got everything. Carl very kindly sent it to me. Beautiful models to paint. Lovely. Some of the best looking models. Really whimsical Discworld kind of style.
I think that's what caught my eye. I think you're right. Very Discworld. And I thought somebody down the club was playing it, and it caught my eye. I just thought, wow, that's an amazing game. Looks amazing.
It's all up there. I've got 4 sets of it up there.
Somebody said that in the chat, actually. Someone was talking about it here. Where is it? I'll find the comment. Here we go. Red Sven 76. Moonstone is great 3 to 6 model teams playing 2 to 4 players. Card mechanics with bluffing elements. Really whimsical labyrinth style minis, and they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing.
They're
figures.
beautiful. So if you guys haven't checked them out, go and have a look at them because they've got their beastmen are just it was proper satire type things playing parts.
I think when I saw that, I think I was being taken over by that Badgers and Barrows phase, and that's what caught my eye with it, because it's like they're such lovely figures, and then you see those and think, oh my goodness, they're amazing figures as well. But no, I've never played a game, so I've no idea what it's like.
No, it's because it's all card driven. And in fact, I had another one made by the Reaper Miniatures sculptor, German guy. It was like fantasy pirate game. Freebooters Fate. I had that, and I had some like Assassin's Creed style assassins, and my mate had like pirate goblins, and they're not Napoleon riding a pig. But I think the thing is with fantasy gaming, obviously there's a lot out there, and I suppose you can be so. I mean, you can be creative in any genre, I suppose, but fantasy and fantasy worlds. I mean, just look at fantasy books and how big that is, and the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game, which is massive.
But do you know what? It always makes me laugh because as a primary historical gamer and not a fantasy gamer, it always surprises me how restrictive so many fantasy games are. Very tied into, you've got to stick to this format, or you've got to have this lore, or you've got to have this.
Yeah.
And it astounds me because it almost is more restrictive than many historical games.
A lot of them have their very own model, I suppose, also because if they're creating races and they create their own models. Whereas if you get these things like this 7TV and Frostgrove, these ones which are miniature. I'll tell you a game I want to check out. It's one that Rick Priestley's written called the Red Book of the Elf King.
Yes, that looks good.
Yeah. Well, but the elves in it are essentially like proper. They're like Nordic elves. They are axe wielding lunatics who have like destroying the world. And
that sounds good.
Yeah. And then but it's produced by Lucid Eye. We've popped up a few of their models. Sometimes they make the Journey. Oh God, what the hell is the name of the game? It's basically like Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is another one I thought of, because would you consider that fantasy? It kind of goes fantasy. It starts science fiction, then goes fantasy, because you get all the.
I mean, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, no, the thing is, what I really like about fantasy is they're it's not just anything, is it? You've got Steve. You can go the opposite end, and you've got Steve with his turnips. We didn't even mention turnip, have we? So you can go from anything to everything. If you can imagine it, you can do it. You can even go historical within fantasy. Like you could have. I saw Duncan Rhodes a little while ago. He painted up Napoleonic sort of guy, but an Imperial Guard version of him. So if you like your Napoleonics, you can do that.
I think the Silver Bayonet caters for that. If you like Napoleonics and you want some dark fantasy thrown in there. And what I like about the Silver Bayonet is it always comes across as not over the top fantasy. It's always it doesn't seem that fantasy element doesn't seem out of place with the background, if that makes sense. I think they've definitely struck a really good balance with that.
What was the name? Sorry, I interrupted. I'm just trying to remember the name of that bloody.
Driving you insane.
I think you're right, Steve. I mean, that's again for me. If I was to play any of those fantasy games, that sort of not over the top, not suddenly a super weapon that just wipes out half the army. That kind of game where I guess that was the thing I quite liked with the Saga Age of Magic, was that it was quite nuanced what the magic did. It wasn't dominating, but it had a nice little touch that added something to the army, and the balance just seemed right when you played it.
That's like Warlords of Erewhon. Magic doesn't dominate. It's, I mean, there's wizards and sorcerers and necromancers and all kinds, but it comes down to sort of the rank and file, which I think is, I mean, if you, I'm sure there's game systems out there that appeal to that have a lot more magic and sorcery, and that those kind of elements to it. It's not something I like in my fantasy. I don't like a lot of magic. I don't mind a sprinkling, but I don't think I'd like a sort of
like a Game of Thrones kind of level.
Yeah, although I don't like Game of Thrones.
Don't go on about that one, Martin.
Moving swift. No, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Where it's low fantasy. So like you've got hard fi for science fiction, not pew pew space laser. It's just things set in the future. Yeah, I think fantasy where it looks like it could be real, but there are elements of fantasy in there. That's much what I prefer.
And I think, going back, you're talking about that mass battle Lord of the Rings game. That's the sort of thing that appeals to me for that, because it is like a historical mass battle, but there's a little bit of extra to it, and I kind of we should
just do Hail Sauron, Dom.
Yeah, I you know what? I think that's got to be done, mate. Definitely. You could put in a whole load of Vikings in the army or anything. They could be the East.
I was having a great chat with someone on their YouTube channel because he just discovered Victrix miniatures, and he was using them instead of the Dunlendings, the Wild Men. And he was like, I bought these, they look better, and I've got 60 of them for half the price. Not for less than half the price. So I think he worked out. He goes, and they look like proper Herschels. It's like, because the only reason is if you again, you can proxy, and I know we could talk for hours about this, but you could proxy, but I'm never going to go to a tournament. We've chatted about this before. It doesn't bother me any game. I'll make the game fit the way I want to play it. I'm not worried about that. I just remember what I was going to say. Do you remember Jim putting skeleton heads on all his Prussians?
Yes. And I totally stole that idea off Jim from my last Turnip 28 army. I had a load of Napoleonic bodies. I had a load of skulls. Works.
So here's the thing also. Do you think that historical game systems, periods certainly do, but last longer than fantasy ones do?
I would say because of the popularity of fantasy, there's a want to update editions and release new models and keep up more, because there's more moving parts, I guess, with those systems.
Well, I suppose also because they make more money, don't they? So they want to keep making that money. But because I hear you guys talk about, I mean, what was it? What you were just talking about, the fantasy system that's just been shut down, and it's like, well, that seemed to me that only just came out about a couple of years ago, and it's already been got rid of. Age of Sigmar, that's it. It's like, bloody hell, you wouldn't do that in historicals. But then again, historical rule sets change all the time as well. So it's sort of
there's a lot more rule sets, isn't there, for historicals per se, isn't there? I would say
there isn't quite the same need to start your army again as there seems to be often in fantasy, isn't there?
No, there's not. With fantasy, you tend to get minis driven with the rule sets that are released, mini Pacifics.
That just reminds me. Remember when Age of Sigmar was first released? And there was that famous video of that bloke setting fire to his high elf army.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's what I remember. You're showing that you're talking about that. It's it's like I know the worst you had to do in historicals was rebase your figures. You didn't have to completely start again, and that was tedious. And now most rule systems don't even change the basics, so that argument's gone.
Yeah. God, when he set those on fire, Jesus. I was just thinking about that. I bet he is crying.
I bet he is crying now.
It's that was amazing.
All that money just poof.
So Matt says he thinks fantasy games are more at risk of falling prey to fads because the historical rule sets are trying to recreate a predefined playing style. Fantasy is more open to experimentation. I think that's true to a point, but all fantasy is based on something, isn't it? It's not just... There's very little fantasy just comes out of absolutely nowhere.
It's always based on lore, isn't it? You've always got to have a story.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, even Turnip's got a story. That's strange, but it's got a story.
That's one way of putting it, mate. Strange.
They were dark. I always thought they were high elf. No, they were dark elf, apparently. Very
is there
dark.
a difference?
Yeah.
Yes, there is, Dom. There is.
Okay, mate. Thank you. I thought they were just wood elves and.
I had a dark elf army.
I don't know what the other one was.
No. One lot listens to Bon Jovi, the other lot listens to Cannibal Corpse.
That's one way of putting it, Steve.
Love that.
Should we do some news?
Yes.
Well, that's
Well, we're thinking about that one.
Glad you say that because I've just put a bit of resin in my mouth and it's disgusting.
Why did you do that then? Isn't that poisonous? I thought.
No, it's not. It's all right. Any little bit's all right. It's fine.
By the end of the stream, he's going to look like the guy from Indiana Jones when he drinks from the wrong cup.
Crack on. I'll be back in a sec.
Do you want to start, Dom, or shall I?
Well, shall I run the video? There's it's not what's it face has disappeared. There we go. Right, you can start.
All right. Okay, so we'll stick with fantasy, and this is a game that I keep on wanting to play. I just haven't found the time, and that is Rangers of Shadow Deep, and they have a new book out, a new scenario out called the Tenebrous Citadel. I think this is the third or fourth one they've released now, so I think I read that this has, I think it's a 10 scenarios in it that are all linked together. So you and your mates create your party of Rangers to fight in various scenarios and develop. Throughout it, so this is available on. I think it's on. I can't remember if it's on Drive-Thru RPG or just. What's the other one? Wargames Vault. Might be on both, to be fair. But I think it's also you can grab it over on Modiphius's website. This is one that I really want to try because I've got all the miniatures you'd ever need for it. Because I must have the D&D 500, 600 random monsters, like 5 orcs here. Here's a beast man. Here's a dragon. Here's a mimic that dressed up. So I've got plenty of that stuff, and I would really like to give this a go because I have everything I could possibly need. So, but I just think it would be more fun to do it with you three. And film it as it all goes wrong. Because you set up a scenario. So you just set up, I think the first scenario is you just set up a village, Dom. So I think it's like on a 3x3. So you set up the village, you randomly determine sort of where an objective is. And when you go to that objective, you then read what that says in the book. And then it'll be right, place another objective, head there. And, things happen and then events happen as you do it. But anyone played Rangers of Shadow Deep in the chat? Let us know what you think. I'll throw some. So again, could be fantasy, could be used for Silver Bayonet. P-Works have released an MDF windmill, which I quite liked.
Oh, that's nice.
Which I thought was quite cool.
That's just crying out for a turniping.
It is. That's a turnip centerpiece, right?
My only concern with it are the quite large blank areas. So if where there isn't any planks or anything like that, I don't quite get what you would.
Can you put some popsicles or something?
Yeah, exactly. No, and can they have? Yeah, but I thought I like the look of it. I'm sure it could do something with it.
I bet it's a fiddly so and so to put together, though.
Let's buy it for Dom. Necromunda. I saw this and thought of Stee when I saw it. I just thought it looked cool. I think this is from the Ash Wastes. And I thought he just looked really, really cool. I thought that looked very 2000 AD, to be honest.
Do you know what? You got to say that since they rebooted Necromunda, the miniatures are just fantastic. They are. There's not been a bad one yet. They're all lovely looking. They're all. I don't know. It's like they're doing it right. If that makes sense. The figures just look really, really good. I mean, look at the guns. I mean, they're all to scale, sort of.
They're
just nice.
I definitely think there's some 2000 AD inspiration on that. I really do, because with the breather and everything.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I saw, because Dom got everything else as normal, was that Old Glory have got some Wild West figures that have come out. So these are 25 mil. But I don't know if these are 25 mil and that means that they're 28, or if they are actually 25 mil. So you'd have to, but if you go and have a look at them, so these are the marshals, sheriffs, and lawmen sets. So I thought that was quite cool. But I know that Dom has other things, so I'll hand over to him.
I feel there's going to be another wave of cowboys type stuff, because I think Rich said that their Western game for Lardy's, what's it called?
Oh, What a Cowboy.
Oh, What a Cowboy. Yeah, What a Cowboy is coming out at Salute, I believe. So he said on Battle Bunkers podcast the other night, or last night, I think it was. So that's interesting. Well, what did I see? I'll come to the last one, which I know Martin loves. But first up, we talked about this a bit anyway. I know Miller did a video of all the different commanders, but the different commander packs for the Pusher Pike 30-Year War and also ECW sets are on pre-order at Warlords. And also this Starfort. It's not as good as Miller's that he did at CrackCon, but it's still pretty impressive. So there's all sorts of versions of this. You can just get the parliamentarian commanders, you can get the imperial commanders, or you can get the Swedish commanders, or the Rollist commanders. And then there's the various terrain packs as well, which are all on pre-order. So I'm assuming our friends at Boards and Swords, given the fact that
he should do. And let's just remind ourselves: if you go on Boards and Swords, you will get a hefty 5% discount on top of your discount already. But no, seriously, guys, remember, go over there, check it out. I was about to say, tell them we sent you, but if you put in the code PCP5, I guess he'll know. He'll know.
They'll know.
He'll know. They all know. So no, go and have a look. But that stuff I imagine will be up for pre-order as well. So if you've already ordered some of the stuff, maybe you can go over there and tack that on, because there's been a payday since then.
Indeed. Also, Empress brought out another range of colonial figures. I forget exactly which ones these were, but there's some tribesmen, and there is a gun crew. British. Nice. That looks fun.
I'm just about starting some Empress. I've got the whole naval. I bought their naval brigade deal for the Anglo-Zulu War.
Oh, nice.
So I've got a whole lot, and then I added in rockets and Gatling guns and all sorts to.
Nice. So about rockets, some more rockets there. I do like the pack train. That's really good. Really nice. And there's some more of the. I forget which. They're not Zulus, but they're. I forget. I'm sorry. I should have written it down. But anyway, the other thing I saw, I'm sure others saw as well, is Reconquer.
Talking about Natal.
No, I don't know Natal's there. I can't remember where they are. I'll look it up in a minute. Reconquer, bring out some more.
These are nobles, aren't they?
These are Moorish nobles.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Yeah. They're just cool. There'll be more of them than just those 5 as well.
I think there's some of the. I think there's some of the best he's done. I think
they're 3D prints as well, aren't they?
Yeah, but you can get them from like grey green.
Yeah.
If you want them, but they're all open hands as well. So because I was looking at because he posts up some stuff on the Patreon, so you can see. Yeah, so all of these weapons are separate, so you could arm them with other things as well. But they're very cool. I'll be printing them and putting them in my I know they're Moorish, but again, there's not a lot in it. I'll be sticking.
And they are fantastic looking miniatures, so there's a bit of leeway on whether they're exactly right. So yeah, that's what I saw. think that's all I had.
Nice.
Sorry, Alex.
How's your? We never asked. How's your badger, Martin?
I don't know. I've been in Sweden. It was there when I left.
Oh, it was...
I don't know. It was there when I. It was there when I left.
I do it every week, so I just wait for. I don't.
It doesn't bother me.
I'm just waiting for Alex's reply in the chat every week.
The problem, one of the real problems they've got is that if it stays cold, it'll hibernate for longer, and then they'll be even more buggered. So it's the same with newts. Like we've got other sites where they want newts to move, but if it stays cold, they won't wake up. So then they can't shift them, and they get and then then there's a lot of upset people. But no, the badger's fine. I haven't been back to work yet. I'm back to work tomorrow, so I get to find out all about it tomorrow.
So you find out he's moved his family in as well.
That'd be amazing. But like I said, we've got like a whole sort of spring watch kind of group that are sitting at the edge of our site with binoculars, driving doing watching the badgers or the badger rather.
Have you named him?
No, I haven't named him yet. I didn't want to get attached to him because
I think you should name him.
Call him Thaddeus. Thaddeus the Badger.
Ooh, there's a good
Thaddeus.
name.
I've got that badger for Burrows and Badgers smoking the pipe. That'll have to be Thaddeus. I don't want to get attached to it because what will happen is in July they'll get a license to get rid of it, it'll go one way or another. It won't be anything to do with me. I hasten to add. They'll come on and
you know someone, don't you? You know somebody who'll come round.
Oops. They will evict him.
Evict him.
Wrong.
That's my opinion. There you go.
Absolutely.
Right. Right. We're up. Bloody hell! It's 9:30.
It is.
Jesus Christ. Right. So back on subject. Paul. So back on Seb's subject then. So I think we could probably guess for the setting for yourself, Dom. If you had to pick one fantasy setting, what would it be? I would probably say for yourself would be Lord of the Rings. I reckon. Probably go down
it'll be some Swedish girls in a. Oh no, sorry, not that fantasy setting. What do you mean a fantasy setting? I don't. I mean, Big Battle would be fun. Yeah. I don't really care what it is, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a game. At the end of the day, we're just moving counters around. That just these would be.
So why do we get so hyped up on our projects for historicals though? Why do we enjoy our historical projects so much then? If it's just a game, do you
something that actually happened?
But you're not though to 1-to-1, are we? We've said this before. We're creating.
It's still a toy. We're still playing with toy counters.
Yeah, very true.
Same thing. I mean, I don't see it that much different, to be absolutely honest. That's why I never really understand the whole kind of, angst there is about different, we don't play this period, or we don't do this, or we don't do fantasy. I don't understand it.
Just rolling some dice to try and
kill
rolling
dice
on the table.
Playing with little toy soldiers at the end of the day, and some are a bit bigger and a bit uglier than others, right? That's all.
Yeah.
I do like the historical setting. So that's why I enjoy the historical more than anything else.
You like your research, don't you? You do like
to a degree, but I also as I said before, I do like things like Lord of the Rings and the fantasy worlds, and I'll watch a video of somebody doing that quite happily, quite enjoy it. So
you're gonna watch the new films that come out, Dom?
Oh yeah.
That's only a rumor. They haven't greenlit nothing yet. Hopefully it will stay that way.
Especially after Martin's Amazon experience. I've still not watched that, by the way, because you really did put me off watching it.
I never finished it. I didn't watch the last one because I don't, and I don't really want to talk about it. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about it.
Glad you're a warrior princess. Yeah, no, that's fine. No worries, dude.
Such a tit.
Right, okay. Gandalf. Right, Steve. If you had to pick one, you gonna go turnip, or you gonna shock the world?
No, I think. I mean, I like Walls of Erewhon because it's a nice size.
Yeah.
You know, sort of 5 to 6 units. There a few characters. If you played on a 4x4 board or 6x4, I'm familiar with the core mechanics, and it's just and it's miniature agnostic as well. And you can actually use Romans and Vikings and Greeks and all kinds in Warlords of Erewhon. It's because if you go into this game in life, so it's Rick Priestley's website, there's loads of additional warband lists on there, and people send in their own, and he puts them on there as well. So it's a good way. If I could just start from new, I know I've mentioned this before, but I love the Dragonlance series. I think it's a fantastic setting. I think the books are brilliant. The characters, the races, all good. If someone could produce a sort of Dragonlance skirmish game, I would like that.
You'd be on that, yeah.
I would. I want to see. I want to see Draconians. They were evil little bastards with wings. When you kill them, they turn to stone. And dwarfs and Kenda and gully dwarfs, and there's so much good stuff in there that would make. I wouldn't want to see a mass battle game. I don't think it would translate well. But I think a good small skirmish or middle range game, I think that would work really well. Because like I said, the background is brilliant. Really, really fantastic background.
Yeah, that's cool. And what about yourself, Martin?
Out of all my fantasy games, I'd pick Bushido flat out because I love it and play it to death, and I think it would be really easy to get everyone into it because you only need about 7 miniatures and they're beautiful. So I might bring it to CrackCon as maybe a Friday night game. So I might have to do that. I might have to, but I'll tell you one, and it's been pointed out before. I also love Burrows and Badgers, and you can't get more.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
That's a great game.
I still haven't had a game of it, but I love the figures.
Yeah, I think I'll need to order some more because I absolutely. You get a set of figures you just enjoy painting. They are some of the most enjoyable figures I've ever painted, and they're metal. And they're brilliant. They are absolutely some of the loveliest figures I have ever painted, and they were just a joy. And yeah, I bet no one ever thought me praising metal miniatures like that.
No, Dom, you enjoyed them as well, though. To be fair, didn't you? You enjoyed the painting the fantasy stuff. You actually quite enjoyed doing them, didn't you?
Oh yeah. I'd say. I mean, at the end of the day, it's if the figure's fun. And I know what to do with it, which I haven't known what to do with. I don't care really.
No, that's it. Okay, yeah. I'll tell you. Are you? I was going to say we'll take.
No, you can't, Alex. Well, there might be a video. I'll send you.
Swedish fantasy.
Mate, I'll send you some videos from the weekend, and that'll put you right off. Not from the Swedish, but I'll show you what 27 Brits got up to in Sweden.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. Right. I definitely don't want to see that.
No.
Enough from rugby tours where you did that kind of stuff. No.
I was gonna say no. I would quite like getting Burrows and Badgers, but I'll come up. Maybe we could meet up one night during the week or something like that. Apart from Friday, if you've got an evening free, come up and we could have a game because you've got enough for 2 sets, haven't you?
Probably do, yeah. Trouble is you can't get in here at the moment.
Oh, the
garden's all been ripped apart.
Yeah.
It's like a death trap out there. It's like the Somme out there at the moment.
Actually, all he's done is great. Like, all he's done, perfect. Why did you tell him that? It'd be like perfect little pit traps for him to go down.
Oh God, he'd fall down so many holes. Literally, there are so many. No, I wouldn't care. I'd say to you, I'd make you sign a disclaimer. When you come over. Yeah, but no, there are so many holes. It's ridiculous out there. They keep saying, no, you can keep working in there. And I'm thinking, I can't even get in and out of the bloody cabin at the moment. There you go. Luckily, I live in here, so it's all fine.
Fine. Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. Myself, oh shit, there's so many to choose from. If I had all the figures straight off the bat and I could just do it straight away, it's so hard. Probably would be probably would be fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy, because I've never played it, but I just like the idea of it. Just like that idea. I don't know why.
That's a really dangerous way to live your life. I'm going to keep this. I've never done it, but I like the idea of it. Isn't that how some governments and political parties I've never done it before, but I really like the idea of this.
Well, I've played games.
What could go wrong? Let's have a go.
I've played Game Workshop's rules, though. I have played them.
I thought it'd been Middle Earth if you were going to keep one. Middle Earth strategy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was really. I had to really think, because that's what I was toying between. Because I really do like strategy, but
do you know? Ken, you just mentioned that was something I was going to raise. I was going to mention before. It's very rare. Well, as I found, in that a game's lore is accurately transposed to the tabletop. Is that fair to say?
I would agree. Yeah.
Especially 40k.
Yeah.
From my experience, anyway. But it is.
Well, no, it's true, Steve, because 5 Space Marines apparently can take a whole planet. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something. It's just something. I mean, I've never played any of the Middle Earth games, but does the Middle Earth sort of fluff background lore does that transfer to the tabletop?
Ish,
yeah. I would say more. I would say more than other scenarios. When you
there's some characters in there which like Sauron, like. The guy should just be slapping everybody around the around the board, and he is pretty hard, but it's still possible. They do a pretty good job, and it's because of the mechanics that Don was talking about, the fight, might, will, and fate, and the way they work. So, for example, Boromir has loads of might that he can kill loads of orcs, and he can give him. However, he's got no fate. So as soon as he's wounded, that's it, he's dead. So it's quite. I wouldn't say it's easy for Boromir to die, but he's definitely more likely to die than like Frodo or Aragorn or someone like that. I think I agree with Ken. I think it's the best set of rules that Games Workshop have produced. And that's the community that kept that alive before they did that new edition.
This is why I've got such a hope, Martin, with the old world, because it's the same guys that have done Middle Earth strategy battle game are doing the old world. Same team. Because it's the same team that are doing it. So that's why I've got a bit of faith in it. So yeah, that's what I mean. See, that's what I mean. That's why I'm not giving up on it straight away off the bat.
But the thing is, they had a much better game to work with to start with. And a better IP as well.
Yeah. This is true. This is very true. But what's probably your favourite thing then out of the Lord of the Rings rule sets out of Middle Earth? What is it? The Might, Will, and Fate.
Mine.
Say that's what's your favourite rules out of it?
I love the use of Might, Will, and Fate to separate out characters, but not just characters, but captains, and and so obviously you can have like your Aragorns and whatever, Legolas and that, but you obviously got these little captains. I like battle companies. I like I don't know what it is. I love Tolkien, so I appreciate it a lot, and I think what Games Workshop did right with it, I can't believe I'm going to say this, is that they got the licenses to do a lot of what was in the books. So before like Jackson had done the Hobbit, they'd released like all of the characters from the Hobbit, and they'd released like they've even got like a Tom Bombadil one for Goblin.
Yeah, I've got Tom Bombadil. I've painted him. Yeah,
God, I hate Tom Bombadil.
No, I love Tom Bombadil.
But so I think they did that right, and they took it, and I think that was because it was more passion than anything, and so the Might, Will, and Fate I think is a great way, but it's just a very simple, straightforward system, and with like lots of nice nuances to it to make it effective. Like the way that spells work is quite cool. So like Steve's worried about, you think you can only cast one spell per turn, like per go, and you have to put some of your dice, you have to spend will points to do it, to get the spells off, and and they're not, so they don't always, will isn't
Don't always guarantee.
Doesn't regenerate, so it's a finite resource. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I just enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's a really simple one, but for me, the in the way test for the archery, that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, that's quite, yeah.
I just think it's a really good rule.
That's just a really simple rule, isn't it?
So you never
have that.
Yeah, you never get an impossible shot. So the more you can always aim for it, but if you've got 4 or 5 things, but if that ever did come off, those 4 or 5 things, you can just imagine the theatrical moment. You can see the arrow going through the trees. It's just really cool. I just really like that rule. It would be. I would have thought other rule, like you said, Dom. Other rule systems would make use of that.
Yeah, they tend to sort of be like, oh, it's +1 because it's obscured, rather than like 50-50. Does it go past him? Yeah. Yes. No. So, which I thought it's quite a simple thing. I think it's like all rule systems. So there's, well, not all, but there are a lot of rule systems. There's a little thing that they do, and you think, oh, that's really cool. Transplant that into something else. Of course, do, but we never do.
Yeah. No. Exactly. No. Oh, excuse me. Unless you've got a scoop, Leslie, on the old world, I don't know how you know I'm going to be disappointed in it.
Well,
Unless you work there. We know.
Have a look at this, Ken. Plastic Bretonians. What? Didn't they shit can Bretonians in Age of Sigmar?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and Tomb Kings.
Yeah.
Well, yes. So,
I was very surprised about that because I did like the Bretonian sort of.
I had a Bretonian army.
Or with the knights, and then they had the Robin, the Robin Hood guy, and all those definitely not Robin Hood characters.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they look like.
No, exactly. The Bretonians were cool because the Perry sculpted them as well. So that's why they were amazingly cool. But yeah, no, just looking forward to it. Just gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna make the most of this. I'm gonna pretend this is my fantasy original battle system, if that makes sense. So the first time round, I'm gonna enjoy this whole train. I'm gonna enjoy it. So yeah, what's time? So it's about 1:45. So it's about that time in the evening where we spend some time looking through what's been happening on the Facebook group over this past week, looking at your lovely pictures. As always, links to the Facebook group are below. We are getting very, very close to 1,000. I think we say it every week, but I think we're at 960 now. Last time I looked, so we're only 40 off. Not far at all. So if you want to join the Facebook group, no worries. Just check out the links below as well as all our channels. So let's have a little look. Right.
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Right.
Well, Ken's looking with that. I know there's a couple of comments in the comments
section go for it.
About my progress with my Huey helicopter by Rubicon. Slow progress. I've still not looked in the box again.
That is the definition of slow. Let's be honest. You haven't even looked in the box.
No, it is, and it's. I mentioned it the week when we were talking about hobby intimidation, and it is one of the most intimidating kits I think I've seen. And I think it's because it falls into scale model more than wargaming vehicle. I think that's what I want to do a good job on it, and I'm really scared of nousing it up, which is just why.
Are you also a little bit scared because you know that everybody's waiting for you to do it as well?
There is that, and if it goes absolutely, I say tits up, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself because I waited so long to get that. I mean, I honestly thought that when that arrived, I'd rip it to pieces and it'd be painted and done in a weekend. And
I knew if it arrived, I would have ripped it to pieces, but that's a different argument.
And it's weird. And I keep seeing people posting them on the Rubicon community page, and people have done absolutely stonking jobs. I know a few people from from our Facebook group. I know Phil. I think Phil's done one.
You'll just do it one weekend, Steve. You just wake up and
Yeah,
go,
drink enough. All I need to do is sit down with coffee Vimto and the entire Slayer discography in the background, and I'm pretty sure I'd be able to. I might be able to make progress on it, but no, I'm working on some strange things at the moment. So yeah,
that's cool. Right, so kicking off for this week, keeping on topic, Tony, his fantasy armies.
He posted this because he said in solidarity for the topic, he'd show off some of his figures, but he couldn't be bothered to get them out the cabinet.
Fair enough.
Which I entirely approve of.
I approve of that approach.
You don't want to damage them either, do you? But no, they're really nice, aren't they? So I love the basing as well. The basing on those is really cool. Really cool. We've got Andy moving along, keeping with the theme.
I like that idea.
I like that. That's different, isn't it? So you've got you use static grass and all that around. I don't know. I want to say
it's not War Machine.
No,
I think. Is it Conquest? I've
got no idea.
It might be Conquest. I'm not sure. What's it
possible? Especially with the magic side of things. Yeah, it's possible. I'm not too sure, mate. To be fair, Andy, if you know if it's where it's from, let us know. Back to some normal bits and bobs. So nice little Hanamag on a little diorama base there. Very nice.
Oh, that's from Corey.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's Corey. That's amazing, isn't it? I thought that was beautiful.
Lovely
diorama.
Lovely paint.
I know
as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Corey uses a lot of oil paint.
Yeah.
On his painting, and I just think,
everything really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, everything about that is just ace.
Yeah, beautiful model.
No, it's really nice. So, Stephen, keeping with the fantasy thing, it's like an ogre or an ogrin or something like that, isn't it?
I think he said it was
Blood Bowl, isn't it? I thought it was from Blood Bowl. I thought it was.
Oh yeah, it is. Of course it is. Yes, of course it is. Yeah, there's a shoulder pad there, isn't it? Yeah, from Blood Bowl. That's
lovely work.
I love it. I love it how Blood Bowl he still managed to get a mason there.
Well, if dwarfs can get a steamroller onto the pitch, I think anything's possible.
Yeah, this is very true. This is very, very true. No, that's really cool. We didn't even mention Blood Bowl in the fantasy thing, did we? That's another one. Please. So, Steve Kings, this is really interesting because
look at that.
Yeah, I thought this is really cool. I really like the effect of the blood. I really, really like it.
So I think that was from a battle he was fighting with, was it Kings of
War? Kings of War, yeah.
Which he's obsessed with, I know.
It's an
amazing model.
I thought it was a dance floor in the Tiger Bar.
Well, I'm sure we've seen signs exactly like that.
Yeah.
It was from Curse City, the ogre, not Blood Bowl.
Okay. Not Blood Bowl. That's one base as well, which is nice.
Jeez.
Rather large base.
Jeez Louise.
So, Dan, he's been doing some parliamentarians. Very nice.
Yay.
That's his,
parliamentarian cavalry. They could have been used in the recent game that I had if they had
if they bothered to turn up.
Oh, poor Miller. Poor Miller. I do feel sorry for him because this is the one rule set, like the one period he loves and adores completely, but he never seems to win.
He won last time.
Yeah, but when he played at CrackCon, he lost as well twice.
He also actually lost at the end of last week as well against down the club. I don't know if he wanted me to share that, but he got his ass kicked at that as well.
Oh, poor Miller. So David's done 1864. What's this?
Schlegwig Holstein battle, that was. He said it was a 12x4 table, I think.
I was going to say that is a very big table.
That's a big table.
That's a proper game. Ken would approve.
Yes, he would. He would indeed. He'd want a massive pike block on there.
For a skirmish, anyway, he'd approve.
For a skirmish game, yes.
Yes, he would approve. But no, that's really cool. Isn't it? Really nice. Really stretching out nicely.
Well, we're saying it's lovely to see people's games as well as their paintings.
Oh yeah,
really, really good.
Not just their miniatures, just the games and what you've been up to in the hobby wise. It could be anything. You could be going to museums and stuff like that.
Hang on. It don't matter, mate. You're only as good as the last, is what you said to me when that happened, when I was moaning about it. He had a bad week.
Had a bad week.
Or just the only answer is we just have to have another game, and I need to paint up some heavy cavalry because I have a funny feeling there's going to be a lot.
What's going to happen?
So, Paul, again, another game. Pikeman's Lament.
Yeah,
nice.
That looks a good, fun game.
Yes.
I'm not convinced by those rules, but it's a lovely looking game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've heard. Yeah, I'm the same with you, done with that. I've heard a few things about the rules. It's another set, though, isn't it? We're going back to that rule thing. It's another rule set to try.
Well,
and how many rules?
Well, I mean, it's the blue top.
Yeah.
What's the name?
Yeah, the Osprey games.
Ospreys. Yeah, not my favourite rule set. I mean, they are easy for a quick game, though, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing about Osprey. They are very good for a quick game. So, Don, he's done a load of... God. Fencing for his... Yeah, for ACW, isn't it?
I think it's for a Gettysburg game he's playing.
Yes,
so.
yes. Wattle fence. Is it wattle fencing?
Snake
fencing.
Snake fencing. Oh yeah, Wattle's the other one, isn't it? Medieval's time. Yeah.
Don, I hope you had plenty of nice beer on tap when you were making those, mate.
Yeah, that's not the kits, is it? Is he homemade those? Because they're on tongue depressors, aren't they?
I think he's homemade. I think he's made that himself.
Yeah, no, that's really nice. Really nice. Well done, man. So John French. Is this gendarmes for?
Yeah, French gendarmes for the Italian wars, I believe.
I love the guy on the right. I love that surcoat. That's really nice. I love the colour
They're
blue
just
with the
so extravagant with all their colours and their
the lance on the left as well with the banding with that. That's lovely. Works really well. That's really nice, actually. It's amazing when you really look at something and you take the time and you actually study each individual one that's gone into the effort for each of them. It's even like down to the guy on the second in from the right where he's done the lance, got the green banner there. That's nice, man. Really nice. So, Keith, he's done some Vikings. They're not Normans, they're Vikings. They're real Vikings.
They're real Vikings. Yeah, I think he said he normally does Second World War, so this was a change for him to do something that was
a bit different. Yeah,
really cool. Nice.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Nick, now you're talking about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, now actually this is I think this is the game you were talking about, Martin, because he said he was playing Lord of the Rings using Hail Caesar.
Oh, I missed that in the year. That looks awesome.
It's a massive battle using Hail Caesar or redaction of Hail Caesar.
What's he actually got? So he's got Riders of Rohan there. He's got Rohan archers. He's got the dead behind them. He's got Minister in there. He's got a bit of everything. And he's got what are those knights called, Martin? The blue, the one with the prince, whatever his name is. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. He's got a set of them. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie, that does actually sound really cool to actually do that.
Well, if you check out the Facebook page, you put up about a dozen pictures, I think, of that game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. That does actually sound really freaking good. To be fair, not gonna lie. Well, Nick, you get. So Matt and his Burgundians. Yeah, I did read this post. He started off. He was going to do something else, wasn't he? They were going to
do Yorkist, but he couldn't bring himself to do it, so he turned them into
Burgundians. That was pretty funny. I'm gonna lie, it's good. Yeah. And Paul, he's got his Highlanders.
I'm really enjoying Paul's progress on these.
Yeah,
he's got the
paint as well.
Yeah, he's got the colours nailed down so well. I'm just a big fan of that basing style for Line Rampant. I just think it works really well.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's virtually the same as my period, so I'm really, really pleased. Tequila baby, those were.
Oh, you
made with matchsticks, apparently.
Don, tequila, no.
Jeez Louise.
Oh dear, love it.
Very nice. So, Robin, 10 mil fantasy. Very
Well,
nice.
yeah.
Cool.
So that's not something new. He did that. That was like he said it was like a lockdown project that him and a mate did, and the rules he used, which I can't remember what it's called now. Robin, you're watching it. I know you've lent me it, and I can't remember
War
what
Master,
the book's called. No, it's not. It's I can't remember.
It's something fantasy, isn't it? It's got fantasy.
He's lent me the book. Yeah, he's lent me the book, and it actually was really interesting. But yeah, he's done these little. I can't remember now if they were 10 or 6 mil armies.
10 mils.
So, 10
mils. I imagine it'd be Pendragon then, wouldn't they? Because I know Pendragon are really cool. 10 mil range, fantasy range. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know his bloody name of the book. I think is it just Fantasy Battles? What the hell did he?
It's going to annoy you now.
It's going to annoy me because he lent me the book and I read it and I was like,
Fantastic
Battles.
Fantastic Battles.
Knight of the Banana.
That's Eric, Knight of the Banana.
Yeah.
From James. That's brilliant.
That's the kind of thing I'd wake up in a cold sweat after dreaming about.
Where the fuck did he get a model with a banana? That's the next one.
Jeez, I have no idea.
I got no idea.
No words.
That's definitely fantasy, isn't it?
Just a tad, just a smidge.
And then to end it on a very dark vegetable note.
Look at these.
Thomas with his turnips.
Thomas has got the aesthetic totally spot on. That is so cool.
That's cool, isn't it? Yeah, that is actually really sweet. I really like the guy on the right. Right on the right hand side. I love that. That's just spot on. That is.
Oh, good one, Lionheart.
Hand me the cattle prod. Hand me.
It's perfect, yes. Oh, dear, sorry. I just love that comment.
Banana is pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. I'll tell you. No, it's right. I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you what though. Thomas this week for me is. I think he stole it for me because for miniature wise, I don't know what it is, but I really like the color and the they just work.
Very Blanchett, isn't it?
Oh,
it looks like
the banner's awesome as well. Look at that banner.
His work always looks like a painting by Hieronymus Bosch.
Yeah, true. Oh, mate.
He's just got it. Yeah, incredible. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic work.
Well done. Well done, everyone who's put your pictures up. And sorry if we didn't get through with yours this week. Just so many to choose from. We could probably spend all episode, to be fair, going through.
You could pretty much.
The amount of content. Remember when we used to do that? We used to actually go through them all. When there was only about 100 people in the group. We couldn't do that now. There's no way on this planet. But no, it's to be fair, like you say, we're predominantly historical war gamers. We all have more historical figures than we do fantasy per se. But it's nice to just share a bit of something, a bit of different. Because there are people in the group that prefer fantasy over historical. So that's what I thought I'd highlight this week. And it's been something a bit different, isn't it? But that someone's put that Lord of the Rings game looks great. Yes, it does. I'm not going to lie, that actually looks pretty epic. I'm looking over at my orcs and I'm thinking, ooh. and then I'm thinking, I still got a load that I need to pay. Oh, and then I'm like, oh shit! I've got the goblins on the table at the moment. No, don't get distracted.
You know what? That's what I've done. When I cleared my desk the other week, and I only have what I'm working on. There's no half.
Yeah, no, I've done the same.
It's totally focused me, and I'm a bit more productive now. I've only got
one thing
what I'm working on.
Yeah,
and it's certainly a psychological thing.
I seem to go on the completely opposite route now. I realized the other day I was making up so many models that I had a massive pack of those tongue depressor things that I'd mount them on, and there were thousands of them. And I cannot find a single one anymore because every single one of them has figures on them, prepped and ready to be painted. I mean, they're just everywhere, and it's like, oh shit, right? I better do a bit more painting then.
Yeah, you better get on with it. Yeah,
I can't argue. I am still painting my way through them, but it's like I've run out of sound depressors. I'm not going to buy any more because that's just stupid.
Do you know what? I bought a packet of those in 2017, and I've still got the majority of them.
Don't bought his 2 months ago, and he's already used them all.
They do get a bit gunked up with glue after a while, and split when you try and take them off. So I will have to get some more eventually. But yeah, they're useful.
Oh dear. It is 10 o'clock, gentlemen. And
oh my goodness.
Yes, it is.
Time has flown.
Time has flown. So next week, it's, I want to say Martin. It's you, and it mine.
Yes, it is.
Yes, you do. You have a very special guest on.
What's his name?
It's not. I want to say Paul Hicks.
I'll help him because this is going to be.
I want to say Paul Hicks.
No, Paul Hicks is at the end of the month.
That's Dom, isn't it? Yeah, Dom. Andy Hobday.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, look at that.
So yes, next week we have Andy Hobday over on my channel because Gangs of Rome, which goes live this week. I think it's on Wednesday. So we're gonna have him on. We're gonna be chatting about all the changes they've made from the first edition. How do you go about making those changes? And the fact that the setting of the game has changed a little bit as well. It's obviously still set in Rome, but I think it's gone out to the provinces a little bit more than just been set in the metropolis of Rome itself. So we've got him on. So if you've got your questions, then feel free to pop them up when the stream goes live, which I'll say when it goes live, when I put the link up, which will go up in the next couple of days. I'll send them over. Remember to tune in as well because we have the giveaway for whatever month we're in, March. So we will do that. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning or seeing what it is, then tune in next week as well. And remember, the draw will be the week after. But yeah, it should be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Yeah, so make sure to check out Martin's channel next week. It's been lovely having you guys all on. Have a good evening, and we will catch you again later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.